You were lied to. Not maliciously, not intentionally, but systematically. From the moment you could understand words, you were fed a script. Go to school, get good grades, find a safe job, save money, retire old. Sounds logical, right? Then why do the ones who follow this script end up exhausted, broke, and full of regret? Because the system wasn't designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you predictable, to reward obedience, not vision, to favor safety over growth, to trap you in comfort disguised as security. And worst of all, it conditions you to believe that wealth, true wealth, is reserved for them, the special ones, the chosen ones, the lucky few born into it. But here's the raw truth most people can't handle. You are not broke because you lack money. You are broke because you were never taught how to think. Because wealth isn't built from money. Wealth is built from mindset. The poor chase paychecks. The rich build machines that print them. The poor wait for permission. The rich give themselves authority. The poor ask, how much does it cost? The rich ask, what's the return? You see, it's not about what's in your wallet. It's about what's in your mind. And if you don't learn how to command your mind, someone else will. And they'll rent it out for minimum wage. Look around. The average person is addicted to distraction, plugged into devices, scrolling for hours, consuming noise instead of creating meaning. And every single day, that addiction steals the one thing that's more valuable than money, time. Not just time on the clock, but mental bandwidth, focus, energy, vision, vitality. You're trading your most powerful resource for entertainment, while someone else is trading focus for fortune. Think about that. Andrew Carnegie, the man who mentored Napoleon Hill, once said, the man who acquires the ability to take full possession of his own mind may take possession of anything else to which he is justly entitled. This isn't motivational fluff. It's the very foundation of freedom. And that's the first secret they never teach you. Wealth is not money. Wealth is mental sovereignty. It's the ability to say, this is what I want, this is who I will become, and nothing will stop me. That clarity alone puts you ahead of 99% of the population. Because most people never ask why they want what they want. They just imitate, copying dreams from Instagram, living someone else's version of success, running faster and faster on a treadmill that leads nowhere. This is how the 99% stay poor, mentally, emotionally, and financially. Not because they are incapable, but because they are unconscious. They are asleep with their eyes open, sedated by comfort, ruled by fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of failure, fear of being different. But the truth is, you are already different. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, to build, to lead, to create. And until you step into that role, you will always feel the weight of a life unlived pressing down on your soul. You'll feel it at night when you lie awake, wondering why you feel empty. You'll feel it every Monday morning, dragging your feet to a job that doesn't honor your fire. You'll feel it when you see someone else living boldly, and your first thought is, must be nice. But deep down, you know, that could have been you. And it still can be, but only if you decide, not casually, not temporarily, but completely. There's no halfway here. No, I'll try. No, I hope. There is only conviction. Do you know what separates the ultra-successful from the average? It's not luck. It's not connections. It's not even intelligence. It's clarity backed by ruthless discipline. Walt Disney was bankrupt. Edison failed over 10,000 times. Lincoln lost election after election. But they never questioned the vision. Because once you see the life you're meant to live, you either chase it with fire or betray it in silence. And here's the harsh truth. Most people betray their vision every single day in the name of being realistic. They trade possibility for practicality, passion for a paycheck, destiny for routine, not because they have to, but because they don't believe they deserve more. And that's the second lie you were sold. Play it safe. Safety is the dream killer. It whispers, don't risk it, don't speak up, don't stand out. But here's the paradox. Safety is the most dangerous place you can live, because when you avoid risk, you invite regret. When you avoid pain, you avoid growth. When you avoid fear, you avoid freedom. Think of every empire that ever rose. It started with a risk, a leap, a belief in something unseen. Ford was laughed at for trying to put a motor on a carriage. The Wright brothers were told humans could never fly. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. But they didn't let the world's doubt drown their fire, because they weren't looking for permission. They were chasing purpose. And that is the turning point when you stop asking what's safe and start asking what's worth it. Let me ask you something. What is your life worth? Not your job, not your salary, your life. What does it look like when you're fully awake? When you're on fire with purpose? When you stop settling and start creating? Most people never ask that. They wait for permission. They wait for signs. They wait for the right time. But life doesn't hand you freedom. You take it, you build it, you earn it, and that begins the moment you stop reacting and start creating. Stop letting the world program you. Stop letting fear own you. Stop letting mediocrity seduce you with convenience. You were not born for average. You were not meant to follow. You were meant to forge. The world doesn't need more comfort seekers. It needs more visionaries, more builders, more rebels with a cause. And if that stirs something inside you, if some part of you is whispering, I was made for more, then listen closely, because this is the moment your old life dies. The death of the obedient version of you, the one who always did what they were told, who stayed quiet, who waited in line, who shrank their dreams to fit the size of their fears. Because the life you're chasing, it doesn't belong to that version of you. It belongs to the one you bury every day under hesitation and self-doubt. The one who once believed anything was possible before the world taught them to settle. The one who had the courage to imagine wildly, speak loudly, and act boldly. That person, your true self, is still in there. Not gone, just sleeping. And if you want to build wealth, real, lasting, generational wealth, you have to wake them up. Not with noise, not with hype, with silence, reflection, conviction. You need to ask yourself questions the 99% are too afraid to ask. What am I here to build? What am I willing to suffer for? What will my legacy be? Because money without meaning is still poverty. There are people with millions in their accounts and emptiness in their souls. They bought the toys, the cars, the vacations, and still feel hollow because they built wealth outside while dying inside. Don't make that mistake. Build both. Build alignment. Build something you can be proud of when no one's watching. Build something that echoes after you're gone. That's what true wealth is. But to reach that, you must break a deeper illusion. The belief that hard work alone will make you rich. It won't. If that were true, laborers would be billionaires. If that were true, your parents would have retired kings and queens. The world doesn't reward hard work alone. It rewards leverage. It rewards clarity. It rewards courage. It rewards ownership. Let me say this clearly. You cannot trade your time for freedom. You must trade your vision for value. Henry Ford didn't build the first car. He built the system that built cars at scale. That's leverage. Jeff Bezos didn't pack every Amazon box. He built the machine that packed them relentlessly. That's leverage. Every wealthy individual you admire is playing a different game. They're not asking, how can I work harder? They're asking, how can I multiply my impact? Because the truth is, you can grind 18 hours a day and still be broke, still be replaceable, still be stuck. But when you build something once that works for you 1,000 times over, that's the beginning of real freedom. A book that sells while you sleep. A product that solves a pain point. A system that creates value without needing you every hour. That's when you stop being a worker and become a creator. And you can't create like that unless you master the most important skill of all. Focus. In a world where your attention is being auctioned every second, focus is the new superpower. They don't want you focused. They want you scrolling. They want you addicted to likes. They want you comparing yourself to strangers, because distracted people don't build empires. They build other people's empires. Every second you spend chasing vanity is a second stolen from your vision. Want to know why 99% stay poor? Because they can't sit with silence. Because they fear boredom. Because they chase dopamine instead of discipline. But wealth lives in the boring, in the consistency, in the silence, in the hours no one sees, in the decisions no one claps for. That's where your freedom is forged. Not in the moments when you feel motivated, but in the moments when you feel tired, unappreciated, and unseen, and you still choose to rise. Because here's the real law of wealth. It doesn't come to those who want it. It comes to those who become worthy of it. You don't get wealthy. You grow into wealth. You build the habits. You sharpen the skills. You develop the emotional endurance to keep building when others quit. Hard. You keep going when the results are invisible, because deep down, you've already seen it. You've already become it in the invisible blueprint of your mind, and the world always mirrors what you carry within. But you must understand, wealth isn't just about doing, it's about being. You can't attract abundance with a scarcity identity. You can't lead others if you're afraid of your own voice. You can't build freedom while living like a prisoner to fear. You must become the person your vision demands. That means shedding the old identity, the one that says, I'm not enough. Who am I to do this? What if I fail? Let me be blunt. You will fail. You will stumble. You will be rejected, misunderstood, underestimated, good. Because every time you rise again, you earn the right to lead. You earn the resilience that no shortcut can offer. Thomas Edison once said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's the spirit you need. Because on the 10,000th first time, he gave the world light. And that's what you're here to do. Illuminate, create, build something that matters. Not just for you, but for every person watching who needs proof that it's possible. You don't just owe it to yourself to succeed. You owe it to everyone who looks at you and says, if they can do it, maybe I can too. Your courage becomes someone else's permission. Your wealth becomes someone else's roadmap. But none of that happens if you keep playing small. None of that happens if you let fear win. So let today be the line in the sand. The moment you stop being a follower and start becoming a force. The world bows to those who move with conviction, not noise, not arrogance, conviction. The silent, unshakable belief that says, I will do this or I will die trying. And that's what separates winners from dreamers, because everyone has a dream, but not everyone has the stomach for discipline. Not everyone has the courage to outlast failure. Not everyone has the integrity to keep their promises to themselves when no one else is watching. But if you want to build a life that most people only fantasize about, you have to do what most people aren't willing to do. That means waking up early when no one claps, saying no to short-term pleasure to serve a long-term vision, putting in the reps when the motivation fades, choosing growth when it's painful, choosing action when it's inconvenient. Let others waste time. Let others chase comfort. You are not them. You are here to do something different. You're not just chasing money. You're chasing mastery, because the wealth you attract is a direct mirror of the value you provide. And value comes from depth, from expertise, from a relentless obsession with doing your craft better than anyone else on the planet. The moment you stop trying to get rich and start trying to get great, that's when wealth will chase you. The 99% ask, what can I get? The 1% ask, what can I give that no one else can? That's the difference. One plays the game of extraction. The other plays the game of creation. And creation is the most divine act of all. To take what lives in your mind and bring it into the world, to mold the invisible into something tangible that is the mark of greatness. That is legacy. But legacy isn't built in public, it's built in private, in silence, in study, in solitude. When the world is asleep and you're still working, it's not glamorous, it's not easy, it's not fast, but it's real. And in a world of filters and fakery, real will always rise. You want to know what wealth really feels like? It's not just passive income, it's not just luxury. It's peace, it's power, it's waking up every morning knowing your life is yours, that your time is yours, that your choices are yours, that your voice is yours. No boss, no begging, no compromises. And you don't get there by accident. You get there by design, by taking full responsibility for every part of your life, no matter how unfair. Read that again. You must take radical responsibility for every part of your life. Yes, some people had a head start. Yes, some people were born into privilege. Yes, the system is rigged in places. But if you wait for the world to be fair, you'll wait your whole life. You don't need fairness, you need fire. Every successful person has had a reason to quit. Every wealthy person has had a season where nothing made sense. But they stayed in the game. They adapted, they endured, because they knew that wealth isn't built in perfect conditions. It's built in pressure. Pressure reveals who you really are. Some break, some fold, and some rise. Let this be the season where you rise, where you stop running from your potential, where you stop hiding your brilliance, where you stop making excuses and start making history. Don't tell me you're too old. Don't tell me you're too young. Don't need to begin. You always did. But you were waiting for a sign. This is the sign. There will never be a perfect moment. There will never be less fear. There will never be guaranteed success. You jump anyway, you move anyway, you build anyway. Because regret is heavier than failure will ever be. And 10 years from now, you'll either be grateful you started today or begging for one more chance to go back. Let that hit. You are one decision away from an entirely different life. One decision away from unlocking the floodgates. One decision away from breaking generational cycles and building generational wealth, not just for you, but for your family, your bloodline, your legacy. But legacy doesn't happen by default, it happens by design. And design takes discipline, because discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. No one becomes a legend by accident. They become a legend by living differently daily. They train when others sleep. They invest when others spend. They study when others scroll. They build while others watch. So ask yourself, what am I building? What will the world remember when I'm gone? What will my children inherit, mindset or mediocrity? You are writing that story right now. Every choice, every thought, every action, it's all shaping the life you're walking into. And if that life doesn't light a fire in your soul, change it. You have the pen, you have the power. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your destiny. And it's time to build. You were born to soar, to create, to shake the earth with your presence. But somewhere along the line, they tamed you, not with chains, but with shame, with guilt, with silent rules whispered into your mind. Don't aim too high. Be realistic. Fit in. Play it safe. And so, like billions before you, you folded your wings. You buried your brilliance. You joined the quiet army of the almost great. But you listening right now, you feel it. That restless pulse in your chest, that inner rebellion, that voice that says this is not all there is. That's not delusion. That's destiny. You are not crazy for wanting more. You are called to create more. Because the rarest breed of human is not the genius, not the billionaire, not the warrior. It's the one who remembers who they truly are and lives like it. That's wealth, that's power, that's freedom. But freedom is not something you inherit. It's something you forge with blood, with time, with self-mastery. And most people never taste it. Because it's easier to remain average, easier to point fingers, easier to drown your dreams in distraction. But ease is a lie. Comfort is a drug. And the longer you indulge in it, the harder it becomes to wake up. So if you feel numb good, if you feel angry better, if you feel the weight of wasted potential pressing on your chest, perfect. Because that means you're awake. And the awakened can no longer pretend, can no longer play dead. can no longer nod along to a life that insults their soul. You're not supposed to fit in with the 99%. You're here to disturb them, to remind them what fire looks like, to show them what's possible when you stop bowing to fear and start bowing to your own damn standards. So ask yourself, what if you committed? What if you stopped negotiating with your potential? What if you gave yourself fully, not for a day, not for a week, but for years? What if you made discipline your religion, mastery your obsession, purpose your compass? What would happen? Let me tell you what would happen. You would change, and with you, everything around you would begin to change. Your finances, your relationships, your body, your confidence, your peace, but most importantly, your identity. You'd stop seeing yourself as someone trying to succeed and start living like someone destined to. Because belief is not just a mindset, it's a frequency. And when you rise to it, the world bends. Doors appear. People show up. Opportunities flow. Not by magic, by alignment. Because wealth doesn't chase the needy. It chases the worthy, the bold, the grounded. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So become it. Become the one who moves with certainty, who walks into rooms without shrinking, who speaks without apology, who builds without permission. Become the one who makes power a practice, who stacks wins in silence, who chooses vision over validation, who carves their own lane and owns it without explanation. Because you don't owe the world an excuse for rising, you owe it a demonstration of what it looks like when a human being refuses to settle, refuses to stay in the box, refuses to live the same year 80 times and call it a life. Let others stay broke mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. You are not here to live like them. You are here to lead, to rise, to conquer, because and you will. If you every second, you are choosing to move or stay still, to evolve or remain, to build wealth or repeat poverty. It is not fate. It is not luck. It is not God's favor. It is you. It has always been you. And the second you take full ownership of that truth, you will feel something shift. You will feel your power return. You will feel clarity pierce through the fog. You will feel your spine straighten, your mind sharpen, your heart burn again. And in that moment, you are free. Not because everything outside you has changed, but because you have. And when you change, truly change, the world has no choice but to catch up. So here's what I'll leave you with. Let today be the day you bury the old self, the small self, the scared self, the broke self, the begging self. And in its place, let the builder rise, let the visionary rise, let the king, let the queen, let the warrior, let the goddamn architect of destiny rise. Because no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you freedom. No one is going to force you to become great. You must choose it every single day. And if you do, if you stay relentless, if you ignore the noise, if you outwork your excuses, if you refuse to back down no matter how slow the climb, then one day not too far from now you will look back, not with regret, but with awe. At what you built, at who you became, at how far you rose, when everyone said you couldn't. And in that moment, you'll understand the secret the rich never speak about. Not just how they got wealthy, but how they became free. And now they got wealthy. So will you. But how they became free. And now, so will you.